The unexpected discovery deep in the Orion sector, mining station Omega-7 drifted silently through the asteroid field known as Devil's Garden. The station was a massive industrial complex built into a hollowed-out asteroid, its metal corridors stretching for kilometers through solid rock. Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the command center, watching the mining drones work through the reinforced windows. She was a woman of 42 years, with steel-gray eyes and black hair pulled back in a practical bun. Her uniform bore the insignia of the Terran mining consortium, but the way she carried herself revealed her military background. Vasquez had served 15 years in the Colonial Defense Force before taking command of Omega-7. She knew how to lead people in dangerous situations, and asteroid mining was one of the most dangerous jobs in human space. The station housed 800 miners, engineers, and support staff who worked around the clock to extract rare minerals from the treacherous asteroid field. Dr. Marcus Chon entered the command center carrying a data tablet and looking concerned. He was the station's chief scientist, a brilliant quantum physicist who had given up a comfortable university position to study exotic matter in deep space. Chon was 38 years old, with short black hair and wire-rimmed glasses that constantly slipped down his nose. He pushed them up nervously as he approached the captain. "Elena, we have a problem," Chon said, his voice tight with worry. "The mining team in Sector 12 has found something unusual. It's not a mineral deposit." Vasquez turned from the window, her expression becoming serious. "What kind of unusual?" Chon activated his tablet, showing a three-dimensional scan of the discovery. The image displayed a perfect geometric structure buried deep in the asteroid's core. It was roughly spherical, but covered in complex patterns that seemed to shift and move even in the static image. "It's artificial," Chon said. "The material composition is unlike anything in our databases. The structure appears to be generating its own energy field, and the patterns on its surface are definitely not natural." Commander Sarah Blake joined them at the scanner display. She was the station's security chief, a tall woman with red hair and green eyes, who had also served in the Colonial Defense Force. Blake was known for her tactical brilliance and her ability to stay calm under pressure. She studied the scan with professional interest. "How big is it?" Blake asked. "Approximately 3 meters in diameter," Chon replied. "But the energy readings suggest it's much more complex than it appears. The internal structure shows multiple layers of technology we don't understand." Vasquez made a decision. "I want a full team down there. Chun, you lead the scientific analysis. Blake, take a security detail and secure the area. Nobody touches anything until we know what we're dealing with." The mining tunnels of Sector 12 were narrow and poorly lit, carved from solid rock by industrial lasers. The team made their way through the winding passages, following the mineral tracks that led to the discovery site. Engineer Tom Rodriguez met them at the entrance to the excavation chamber. He was a stocky man in his 50s with graying hair and hands stained permanently by years of working with machinery. "Captain, the thing is definitely not from around here," Rodriguez said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We've been mining this sector for months, and there was no indication of any artificial structures. It's like the thing just appeared." The excavation chamber was a large cavern carved from the asteroid's interior. In the center, partially freed from the surrounding rock, was the alien artifact. It was even more impressive in person than in the scans. The surface was covered in intricate, geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with their own light. The patterns were hypnotic, drawing the eye in complex spirals and curves that hurt to look at directly. Chun set up his scanning equipment while Blake positioned her security team around the chamber. The artifact seemed to respond to their presence, its patterns growing brighter and more active. A low humming sound filled the air, vibrating through the rock and metal of the station. It's definitely reacting to us, John said, reading his instruments. The energy output is increasing steadily. I'm detecting quantum fluctuations that shouldn't be possible with our current understanding of physics. Vasquez approached the artifact carefully. As she got closer, the patterns on its surface began to change, forming new configurations that seemed almost like writing. The humming grew louder, and the artifact began to pulse with a steady rhythm. "Doctor, I think it's trying to communicate," she said. Chun adjusted his scanners, trying to decode the changing patterns. "The quantum signatures are incredibly complex. It's like the artifact is processing information at a level beyond our technology. If this is communication, it's far more advanced than anything we've ever encountered." Suddenly, the artifact's patterns shifted into a new configuration. The humming stopped, replaced by a sound like electronic music. The patterns on the surface began to move faster, creating a mesmerizing display of light and color. Then, without warning, the artifact projected a beam of energy toward the chamber's ceiling. The beam passed through solid rock as if it were not there, extending out into space. Blake's security scanners immediately detected the emission. "Captain, that beam is broadcasting some kind of signal. It's transmitting on frequencies we can't even generate." Chun's equipment showed massive energy spikes. "A quantum field is expanding. Whatever this thing is doing, it's using the fundamental forces of the universe as a communication medium. The signal is probably detectable across the entire galaxy." Vasquez felt a chill run down her spine. "How long has it been transmitting?" 3 minutes and counting," Blake replied. "The signal is getting stronger." The implications were staggering. If the artifact was sending a message across the galaxy, who was it calling? And what would happen when they received it? 2 days later, the answer came in the form of a massive alien fleet that appeared at the edge of the Orion sector. The ships were unlike anything in human records, elegant and graceful with smooth curves and surfaces that seemed to be made of living metal. There were 50 ships in total, ranging from small fighters to massive battleships that dwarfed anything in the North. Human fleet. The lead ship was a magnificent vessel nearly 2 kilometers long. Its hull was a deep blue color that shifted to purple in the light of nearby stars. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing with the same patterns that had appeared on the artifact. The ship moved through space with fluid grace, as if it were swimming rather than flying. Captain Vasquez stood in the command center, watching the alien fleet approach through the station's long-range sensors. The ships had appeared suddenly, without any warning or detection by human monitoring stations. Their technology was clearly far beyond anything humanity possessed. "Captain, we're being hailed," reported Lieutenant Kim Park, the station's communications. "Officer." She was a young woman fresh from the academy, and her voice betrayed her nervousness. "Put them through," Vasquez ordered. The main screen flickered and then displayed the interior of the alien flagship. The bridge was a stunning work of art, with flowing curves and surfaces that seemed to pulse with their own light. Strange plants with crystalline leaves grew from the walls, and the air shimmered with particles of light that danced through the atmosphere. In the center of the bridge stood a being that was both beautiful and terrifying. It was tall and slender, roughly humanoid in shape, but clearly not human. Its skin was a pale blue color, with silver markings that matched the patterns on their ships. Its eyes were large and dark, with no visible pupils, and its hair was white and seemed to move with its own energy. "I am Admiral Zarathul of the Hegemony," the alien said. Its voice was melodious and hypnotic, like music made into speech. "You have activated an ancient beacon that belongs to our people. We have come to reclaim what is ours." Vasquez stepped forward, maintaining her composure despite the alien's imposing presence. "I am Captain Elena Vasquez of Mining Station Omega 7. We discovered the artifact during routine mining operations. We had no knowledge of its origins or purpose. Zarathul's expression remained neutral, but there was something in its eyes that suggested amusement. Ignorance is not an excuse for theft, human. The beacon has been sleeping for 1,000 years, waiting for the proper awakening sequence. Your primitive technology has disturbed its slumber. We're willing to discuss returning the artifact, Vasquez said carefully. But we need assurance that our people will be safe. Your people? Zarathul made a sound that might have been laughter. Humans are a young species, barely worthy of. Notice, you have existed for only a few thousand years, while the hegemony has ruled this galaxy for over 1,000,000. Your presence here is temporary at best. Admiral Zarathul gestured with one elegant hand, and the view on the screen shifted to show the alien fleet in all its glory. We have come with 50 ships of the Imperial Navy. Each vessel carries weapons that can shatter, planets and shields that can stop the fury of stars. Your small mining station has no defenses that could threaten us. Blake stepped up beside Vasquez. What are your terms? Simple, Zarathul replied. Surrender the beacon and submit to hegemony authority. Your species will be relocated to a reservation world where you can live under our protection. Refuse, and we will take the beacon by force and eliminate any who oppose us. The alien admiral's image flickered as it continued. We have observed your species for some time. You are violent and unpredictable, but you show potential for development under proper guidance. The hegemony can offer you a place in the Galactic community, but only if you accept your proper position. Vasquez felt anger rising in her chest. And what position is that? Servants, Zarathul said simply. You will mine minerals, build structures, and perform other tasks that require physical labor. In return, you will receive food, shelter, and protection from the more dangerous species in the galaxy. The silence that followed was deafening. Everyone in the command center understood what was being offered. Slavery, disguised as protection. We need time to consider your offer, Vasquez said finally. You have 1 solar day, Zarathul replied. After that, we will assume you have chosen resistance and will act accordingly. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Vasquez looked around at her crew, seeing determination, mixed with fear in their faces. They were miners and scientists, not soldiers, but they were also human beings who valued their freedom above all else. Blake, what are our defensive capabilities? Vasquez asked. Limited, Blake replied honestly. We have mining lasers that could be converted to weapons, and our cargo shuttles could be armed with explosives. But against 50 warships, we wouldn't last 5 minutes in a conventional fight. Chun had been quiet during the exchange, but now he spoke up. Captain, I've been analyzing the quantum signatures from both the artifact and the alien ships. They're using the same technology, but there's something the aliens don't know. What do you mean? The artifact isn't just a beacon, Chun explained. It's a key. When it activated, it didn't just send a signal. It opened a connection to something much larger. The quantum fields are still active, and they're building towards something. Rodriguez joined the conversation. Doc, are you saying that thing is some kind of weapon? I'm saying it's a tool, Chun corrected. A very powerful tool that the aliens think they understand, but I don't think they've seen its full capabilities. Vasquez made her decision. We're not surrendering. Blake, start converting every piece of equipment we have into weapons. Chun, I want you to study that artifact and figure out how it works. Rodriguez, prep the mining drones for combat operations. Captain, Lieutenant Park said hesitantly, the aliens have superior technology and overwhelming numbers. How can we possibly fight them? Vasquez smiled grimly. The same way humans have always fought superior enemies. We get creative, we adapt, and we never give up. They think they know what we're capable of, but they're about to learn why humans are the most stubborn species in the galaxy. The next 18 hours were a whirlwind of activity. The mining station transformed from a peaceful industrial facility into a fortress preparing for war. Mining lasers were reconfigured as weapons, cargo shuttles were loaded with explosives, and the station's artificial gravity was adjusted to create tactical advantages. Blake worked with the security team to establish defensive positions throughout the station. The narrow corridors and complex layout that made the station difficult to navigate would become advantages in close combat. Every choke point was fortified, and every possible escape route was mapped. Chun spent his time studying the artifact, trying to understand its true purpose. The quantum signatures were unlike anything in human science, but patterns were beginning to emerge. The device seemed to be connected to the fundamental structure of space-time itself. When the deadline arrived, Admiral Zarathal contacted the station again. The alien's expression was serene, showing no sign of anger or impatience. "Have you reached a decision, Captain Vasquez?" "We have," Vasquez replied. "We refuse your offer. This is human space, and we won't be intimidated by threats." For the first time, Zarathal showed emotion. The alien's eyes narrowed, and the silver markings on its skin seemed to pulse with anger. "You choose destruction over wisdom. Very well. We will demonstrate the futility of resistance." The alien fleet began to move toward the mining station. The elegant ships glided through space with deadly grace, their weapons powering up with energy that made the nearby stars look dim. It was a sight both beautiful and terrifying, like watching angels of death approach through the darkness. On mining station Omega 7, 800 humans prepared to face impossible odds. They were miners, engineers, and scientists who had never expected to fight for their species' freedom. But they were also human beings who refused to surrender their dignity and their future to alien masters. The battle for humanity's place in the galaxy was about to begin. The quantum revelation. First shots of the battle came from the alien fleet's smallest ships. 6 fighters broke formation and approached the mining station, their weapons glowing with contained energy. The ships were works of art, with curves and surfaces that seemed to flow like liquid metal. But they were also instruments of destruction, designed to eliminate any resistance to hegemony rule. Captain Vasquez watched from the command center as the alien fighters closed in. Her hands were steady on the control console, but her heart was racing. In her 15 years of military service, she had never faced an enemy with such overwhelming technological superiority. "All stations, prepare for combat," she ordered. "Remember, we're not trying to win a fair fight. We're trying to survive long enough to find their weakness." The alien fighters opened fire with weapons that looked like streams of liquid light. The energy beams struck the station's outer hull, melting through metal and rock like it was butter. Sections of the mining complex vaporized instantly, taking with them years of construction and valuable equipment. But the humans were ready. Blake had positioned mining crews throughout the station's exterior, operating the industrial lasers that were normally used to cut through asteroids. The lasers were primitive compared to alien weapons, but they were powerful and accurate. The first alien fighter died when 3 mining lasers focused on its engine section. The ship's elegant hull couldn't withstand the concentrated heat, and it exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The explosion sent debris flying in all directions, some of it striking the other fighters and causing them to break formation. "Target destroyed," Blake reported from her position near the outer hull. "Their ships are fast, but they're not heavily armored." Chun was monitoring the battle from his position near the artifact. The ancient device had become more active as the fighting intensified, its patterns shifting and changing in response to the quantum disturbances created by the alien weapons. "Captain, the artifact is reacting to the energy signatures from their ships," Chun reported. "It's like it recognizes their technology." The remaining alien fighters regrouped and attacked again, this time focusing their fire on the stations. Weapon emplacements. 2 mining laser positions were destroyed, their operators killed instantly by the alien energy weapons. But the humans adapted quickly, using the station's complex interior layout to their advantage. Rodriguez had rigged the mining drones with explosives and sent them out to attack the fighters. The drones were small and hard to target, and they moved with the random patterns of asteroids rather than the predictable formations of military craft. 3 drones reached the alien fighters and exploded, damaging 2 ships and forcing the others to retreat. Admiral Zarathul watched the battle from the flagship's bridge with growing concern. The humans were supposed to be primitive, incapable of mounting effective resistance against hegemony forces. But they were fighting with creativity and determination. That defied expectations. "Report," Zarathul commanded. "We have lost 2 fighters," replied Commander Veltar, the tactical officer. "The humans are using their mining equipment as weapons, and their tactics are unpredictable." "Unpredictable how?" "They don't fight like any species we've encountered. Most civilizations use formal military tactics with organized formations and standard strategies. These humans improvise constantly, using their environment and equipment in ways we didn't anticipate." Zarathul's expression hardened. "They are primitives using crude tools. Bring the fleet to attack range and destroy their pitiful defenses." The alien fleet moved closer to the mining station, their massive ships blotting out the stars. The flagship alone was larger than the entire human facility, its weapons capable of reducing the station to component atoms. But as they approached, the humans revealed more surprises. Blake had used the station's mining charges to create a minefield around the facility. The explosives were camouflaged as asteroid debris, invisible to sensors until they detonated. The alien ship's shields absorbed most of the damage, but the explosions created clouds of debris that interfered with their targeting systems. Clever, Zarathul admitted, but insufficient. The alien fleet opened fire with their main weapons, beams of energy that could pierce through planets. The mining station's shields, designed to protect against cosmic radiation and small meteorites, were overwhelmed instantly. Sections of the facility exploded as the alien fire found its mark, but the humans had prepared for this too. Chun had spent the previous day studying the quantum signatures from the artifact, and he had made a startling discovery. The device wasn't just a beacon or a key. It was a weapon designed to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe. "Captain, I need to get to the artifact," Chun said over the communication system. "I think I know how to use it." "It's too dangerous," Vasquez replied. "That section of the station is taking heavy fire." "If we don't try, we're all dead anyway," Chun pointed out. "The artifact is our only chance." Vasquez made the decision. "Blake, get a team together and escort Chun to the artifact. Rodriguez, keep those drones active and buy us time." The journey through the station's corridors was a nightmare of explosions and collapsing structures. The alien weapons were systematically destroying the human facility, section by section. Emergency lighting flickered as power systems failed, and the air was thick with smoke and debris. Chun's team reached the artifact's chamber just as another alien energy beam struck nearby. The chamber's walls cracked, and dust fell from the ceiling. Like snow, but the artifact itself was unchanged, its patterns still pulsing with mysterious energy. "The quantum field is incredibly complex," Chun explained to Blake as he worked with his equipment. "The artifact isn't just using our universe's physics. It's tapping into parallel dimensions, drawing energy from quantum foam itself." "In simple terms, Doctor," Blake said, watching the chamber entrance for enemy boarders. "In simple terms, this thing can manipulate reality at the quantum level. It can change the fundamental properties of matter and energy within a localized area." Chun's hands moved quickly over his instruments, interfacing human technology with alien quantum mechanics. The artifact responded to his efforts, its patterns shifting into new configurations that seemed to resonate with his intentions. Suddenly, the artifact's energy output spiked dramatically. The patterns on its surface began to spin faster, creating a hypnotic display of light and color. The humming sound returned, but now it was deeper and more powerful, vibrating through the station's structure. "What's happening?" Blake asked. "I'm not sure," Chun admitted, "but I think the artifact is preparing to activate its primary function." Outside the station, the alien fleet continued its bombardment. Admiral Zarathul was growing impatient with the humans' stubborn resistance. Their defenses were primitive, but they were effective enough to prevent a quick victory. "Prepare boarding parties," Zarathul ordered. "We will take the station by force and recover the beacon." But before the boarding parties could launch, something extraordinary happened. The artifact's energy field expanded beyond the mining station, creating a bubble of altered space-time that encompassed the entire battlefield. Inside this bubble, the laws of physics began to change. The alien ships, which had been moving with perfect grace and precision, suddenly found themselves struggling to maintain formation. Their elegant hulls, designed for movement through normal space, became unwieldy in the altered quantum field. Weapons that had been deadly accurate began to miss their targets as energy beams curved and twisted through the distorted space. "What is this?" Zarathul demanded. "The quantum field is fluctuating," Commander Valtar reported. "Our navigation systems are reading impossible data. Space itself appears to be ... fluid." But the humans, who had been struggling with their primitive technology, found that their equipment was suddenly more effective. The mining lasers, designed to cut through solid rock, could now slice through the alien ship's hulls as if they were made of paper. The cargo shuttles, loaded with explosives, could now maneuver with the speed and agility of fighter craft. Chun watched his instruments with amazement. "The artifact is equalizing the technological gap. It's making our simple tools as effective as their advanced weapons." The battle's momentum shifted dramatically. Human mining crews, who had been barely holding their positions, suddenly found themselves on the offensive. Mining drones swarmed the alien ships, their simple explosives, now capable of penetrating the enemy's shields. The station's defensive lasers began cutting through the alien fleet like hot knives through butter. Admiral Zarathul watched in horror as his seemingly invincible fleet began to fall apart. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were being destroyed by primitive human technology. The elegant formations that had intimidated countless species were dissolving into chaos. "How is this possible?" Zarathul whispered. "The beacon," Commander Valtar said. "It's not just a communication device. It's a weapon designed to level the playing field between advanced and primitive civilizations." The revelation struck Zarathul like a physical blow. The hegemony had ruled the galaxy through technological superiority, using their advanced weapons and shields to dominate younger species. But the artifact was designed to neutralize that advantage, giving primitive species a fighting chance against their technologically superior enemies. "Who built such a device?" Zarathul asked. "Unknown," Valtar replied. "But whoever they were, they understood the dangers of technological oppression." The battle continued for another hour, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The human crews, inspired by their sudden success, fought with renewed determination. Every mining crew became a weapons team. Every cargo shuttle became a fighter craft, and every section of the station became a fortress. The alien fleet, demoralized by their losses and confused by the changing physics, began to retreat. Ship after ship disengaged from the battle, their elegant hulls scarred by human weapons that should have been ineffective against their advanced technology. Admiral, Zarathul made the difficult decision to withdraw. All ships fall back to minimum. Safe distance. We will report this incident to the High Council. Asterisk. But before the alien fleet could retreat completely, Shun made one final adjustment to the artifact. The device's patterns shifted one more time, and a wave of energy swept across the battlefield. This time, instead of equalizing technology, the artifact transmitted information that every alien ship in the fleet received the same message, transmitted directly into their computers and their minds. It was a simple message, but its implications were staggering. The artifact wasn't unique. There were others like it, scattered throughout the galaxy, waiting to be activated by species that refused to submit to tyranny. The message also contained detailed information about human history, showing how the species had overcome seemingly impossible odds through creativity, determination, and cooperation. The aliens saw images of human wars, explorations, and achievements that demonstrated the species' potential for both destruction and creation. This changes everything, Zarathul said quietly. The humans aren't just another primitive species. They're something else entirely. The alien fleet retreated to the edge of the system, their ships limping through space with damage that would take months to repair. But they carried with them more than just physical wounds. They carried the knowledge that humanity was not the weak, primitive species they had believed. On mining station Omega-7, the celebration was subdued. The humans had won their freedom, but they understood that this was just the beginning. The artifact's activation had announced humanity's presence to the entire galaxy, and there would be other challenges ahead. Captain Vasquez stood in the command center, looking out at the stars through the damaged windows. The alien fleet was barely visible now, just specks of light against the darkness. But she knew they would return, and when they did, humanity would be ready. Status report, she ordered. 43 casualties, Blake reported. Severe damage to sections 7 through 12, but the station is intact and operational. The artifact is stable, Sean added. The quantum field is contracting back to normal parameters. But Captain, we need to understand what we've unleashed. This device has changed everything. Vasquez nodded. Send a message to Earth. Tell them what happened here. And tell them that humanity has just announced itself to the galaxy. The message traveled through space at the speed of light, carrying with it the news that would change human civilization forever. The species that had once huddled on a single world now faced a galaxy full of challenges and opportunities. They had proven that human ingenuity and determination could overcome even the most advanced technology. But more importantly, they had shown that the human spirit could not be broken by threats or intimidation. The miners and scientists of Omega-7 had stood up to an alien empire and won, not through superior technology, but through courage and creativity. As the alien fleet disappeared into the depths of space, Admiral Zarathul composed a report that would send shockwaves through the hegemony. The humans were no longer a minor species to be ignored or enslaved. They were a force to be reckoned with, a species that could challenge the established order of the galaxy. The report would reach the High Council within days, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had taken its first step toward becoming a major power, and they had done it the only way they knew how. Through determination, ingenuity, and the refusal to surrender their freedom to anyone. The quantum gamble had paid off, and the galaxy was about to learn why humans were the most dangerous species of all. Not because of their weapons or their technology, but because of their unbreakable spirit and their endless capacity for growth and adaptation. The age of human expansion had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. Asterisk.